Hello to the 5 people watching, welcome back to the channel. We're gonna talk about Bitcoin today, and we're gonna talk about specifically how low do I think Bitcoin price will go in 2026. In order to do that, we have to first assume that we will go into a bear market next year, which is not entirely clear as of now. I think it's probable, but I guess we need to wait a little bit more to be sure about it. Let's talk about that. So in order to do that, we need to go back in history and think about how low has Bitcoin gone in a bear market. So yes, statistically speaking, midterms in the US are bad years for Bitcoin, and we have an upcoming midterms next year, which is a couple of weeks away right now. And the first bear market we had, which started in, well, this was just the first cycle of Bitcoin. So it started in middle of 2011. It was a reduction of about, well, more than 93%. So Bitcoin went down a very significant amount, was very volatile. And the next bear market, which was in 2014, the bear market, the percentage to the downside was about 87%. And the next bear market that we had, which was in 2018, the downside was 83%. And then the last bear market that we had, which was in 2022, and we had a bear market of 77%. So 93, 87, 83, 77. That's all we have to work with. That's what we have to take in account when trying to gauge, how low we will go. So we have the biggest reduction, which was about 7%, right? So we had from 84 to 77. We had another about 6.5% when we went on the first bear market, which was 93, and the next one was 87. So the theme is this. Because yes, I'm sure if you have been in Bitcoin for a while, you have noticed that we have diminishing returns, but that also applies to the downside, not only to the upside. So the bear markets are, well, the downside is less and less every cycle. And yes, I do think we're going to have diminishing returns this cycle as well. By how much? Well, I don't know. But the last one has been 77%. If we take history into account, we should have a reduction of about 7%, maybe more. Maybe this time will be a bigger reduction in the downside of the bear market, but we don't know. All I can say is, let's say we get 7%, which was the biggest reduction that we had until now. That means potentially a 70% downturn, a 70% bear market. These things are impossible to predict and no one really knows. All I can say is that if we indeed are going into a bear market next year, Bitcoin will go a lot lower than people expect it to go, because that's what has always happened. If this bounce, if we're still gonna get a bounce, I'm not sure at this point, but we should be getting a bounce considering how low we went almost continuously from 126 to 80k. If this is a if this is going to be a lower high, then those probabilities increase that we will get a bear market next year. And I've seen some people saying that we're gonna have a bear market of 60 to 70k. I'm not sure why people still say that number, 60 to 70k. I've seen this number repeating over and over again on the internet. And all I want to say is that if we do get a bear market next year, we've already been to 80k, and it's still 2025. So we have already been only 10k away from this upper limit of that 70k that people said, 60 to 70. And I find it, well, I just find it very hard to believe that if we're going to have a bad year next year, that it's gonna be only 60 to 70k. If there's one thing I can tell you from my experience is that Bitcoin bear markets are absolutely brutal. And if we get another one, listen, I have no reason to believe this is going to be any different. It's going to be brutal. People are going to give up. The narrative is going to be negative. Not only that, but there's always going to be something that happens in the bear market to reinforce the negative narrative. Like we had FTX. Remember FTX? Last bear market, and all that scandal with that guy, whatever his name was, Sam Bankman-Friedman or whatever. What was his name? Sam Bankman something. Anyway, doesn't matter. My point is that it's always a narrative. There's always something. When we have a bear market, there's also a narrative that comes with it for some reason. And we had BitConnect in the previous ones, Mt. Gox. My point is this: it's going to be bad, and it's just going to be whatever narrative is going to be. It's just going to be a narrative, because at the end of the day, in my humble opinion, bear markets and bull markets are run by human emotion. So yes, if we do get a bear market, it's going to be brutal. I think we're going to go lower than people expect it to go. I think a lot of people will come out again, all those people who are let's say against Bitcoin, and they'll say again, it's a bubble, it has popped, it's worthless, it's gonna go to zero. People like, you know, Peter Schiff. And then we know a lot of people are gonna give up, and we're gonna have what is called capitulation, right? In order for a bear market to end, we need people to capitulate and give up. Exactly when that happens, the bear market will end. Bitcoin is going to find a bottom, and price will start trending higher from that point. And looking back, you will think and you'll say to yourself, you know what, that would have been a great spot to buy. That's how this has happened about 3 to 4 times right now, about 3 times for myself. And each times, that moment when everybody says it's the end of the world, in hindsight, obviously, it's always in hindsight, 2020, you realize that, man, if I would have bought at that price, it would have been an amazing buy. But it's hard, guys, it's very hard to buy at that price, because fear, there is a lot of FUD. And in those moments, it's good to be a contrarian. It's a lot harder to put it into practice though. So I don't think this is going to be any different if we are to have a bear market next year. And it's not going to be the same, but it's going to rhyme. Don't try to time the bottoms, don't try to time the tops, because it's going to be very, very hard for you to do that. Historically, when Bitcoin has had the bear market, the price went down to the 200 weekly moving average. I don't think this is going to be different this time around. I don't actually. Not only that, but we also went down and wicked, right? We didn't close, but we wicked to the 300 weekly moving average. We did that in the last 3 cycles, going back to that 60 to 70k price range. I think people say that because the top was 69k last time around, and that's why they say that, you know, that's gonna be the bottom of the bear market. But if you remember, this is something else that I need to tell you guys. So in 2018, when it was a bear market, a lot of people said that there's absolutely no way Bitcoin will go lower than 19k and 20k average. Why? Because that was the previous cycle, 2017 top, and everybody said, you know, bear markets and bull markets have never overlapped, never. And what happened? Well, Bitcoin went to 15k and change. And when that happened, for the first time, not only that, so for the first time we went below the price of the previous high. And to add to that, not only that, but Bitcoin price went below and closed below the 300 moving average. in Iran, when that happened, people really freaked out. And there was, you know, a lot of YouTubers saying, we're going to 10K, we're going to 12K. Some of the even said we're going to below 10K. And a lot of people, all the naysayers said, this is the end of Bitcoin, the bubble has burst, and on and on. And what happened? Well, that was the bottom, that what happened. And it was a great spot to buy. So I think this narrative that Bitcoin, bear markets and bull markets of the previous cycle are not going to overlap, it's over. And I think it's going to be something normal from now on, because Bitcoin is maturing as an asset. And yes, I do think that we will go lower. If we are in a bear market, I think that we will go lower than the previous bull market cycle top, which was 69K. How much lower? I have no idea, because you never know. All you have to do is, well, make sure you have enough cash to buy at close to the bottom as possible. Very likely what's gonna be is that we're gonna have, when everybody's gonna be all doom and gloom on YouTube, statistically speaking, that will be a very good time to buy. So that's what I'm planning to do. It's not clear yet that we're gonna have a bear market, so we'll have to wait and see for a little bit. But that's it for this video. So in summary, I think Bitcoin will go lower than people expect it to go, because that's how bear market tend to operate. And that, when that happens, a lot of people will capitulate, and that's how bear markets end normally. There will be a lot of FUD, extreme fear. There will be extreme fear. That's how bear market normally ends. Yeah, that's it. I hope you like this video. Hope you enjoyed it and you liked it. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.